On my last video, I got a comment saying, and I agreed to it.
Zooming in, I'm zooming in.
I started looking at thumbnails on YouTube on this topic and I found one which I like. But I kept searching and I stumbled upon this one and I knew this was the one I was going to make. If you haven't seen the first video, please go check it out. It'll help you understand things more with this one. So I found this model, which I modified a bit to make it work for this project. The original creator is this guy. Huge shout out to him for making the original model, but the actual BB model will be listed in the link in the description. Grab the NPC wand from page 2 of the creative menu and right click on the ground to place an NPC. Under model, click on mobs and click the upload icon and drag the model into the folder. I already have my model imported, so I'll delete this one. After that, go back to Minecraft and filter by custom and you should see the model. Click on it to use this as the NPC model. From here, you can go to pose mode and press R to rotate, S to scale, and G for position, or use the sliders or arrows. I already imported my model, so I'll delete this one, and we'll just use this one that I already pre-positioned. From here, you can go under the camera tab and click add camera, and position it the way you like. You can also press H to make you go into the camera view, and position it by moving with the controls. But I find I can position it more precisely with the arrows under the properties section. I will delete this camera too, because I already created one, as you could see here, and I will just proceed with it. From here, you can take your NPC wand and right click on the ground to place another NPC, go to props, and just search up boat, go to extras and select any boat you'd like. And here, you could also position it and rotate it the way you like. Here, I will build up a few blocks and place another NPC and also position it so it looks like it's standing on top of the boat. From here, you could go onto the pose tab and just rotate and position the arms so they look how you want them to. Here, I would also go back into the display mode and I would click on the inventory and drag a fishing rod into the main hand slot. After that, it's just a matter of positioning all the limbs until it looks the way you want it to. Now I could go back to the display mode, go under skin and just look up the skin by username and enter any skin you'd like. Last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust the bite a bit of this guy. Now that that's done, make sure that there's no water in this scene that you're gonna picture because we're gonna add it later. And go to shaders and just test out a few shaders that work and which ones look the best for what you're going for. And after you're done, you are ready to take the screenshots. Now, go under the camera tab and click batch screenshots. Under that, make sure that you have WEM shader enabled, and in NPC groups select all and make sure WEM cutout is selected to true and that the camera source is camera 1 and the resolution is Fabrishot. And in the output, you could select any output for like where your images go, where you could find it easily when you need it. And as the first shader I'm gonna use, I select the Hysteria shaders, universal, and after that just hit run. For my second shader, I decided to go with the complementary reimagined. And the reason I'm doing this is so that I have two screenshots with different sort of like colors, and I could layer them over top of each other and use the Hysteria shader for like the darker shadows and the complementary shader for highlights. And so then I could sort of erase the dark parts of the complementary shader from the top and leave the bottom, which will be the Hysteria shader, to be sort of like the dark area. I'm gonna show you when we get to the Photoshop part. After that's done, you could quit and go into Photoshop. Create a new 3840 by 2160 canvas, drag all of your images in, and make sure the lighter images are on top. But for the creature, I decided to just keep one of the version, the one that was a bit, I don't know, more brighter. And after that, make sure that the player is behind the boat and that everything is right where it's supposed to be. And I will rasterize this layer, so that means that it's no longer a smart object and I could edit it. And I will select the boat here, because I decided to put the darker one on top for the boat, and where I'm gonna cut out is where the highlights are going to be. And so I'm selecting a more softer brush with a bit less flow to it, and sort of slowly erasing a bit so that it's like a soft sort of highlight. And I'll repeat that for the rest of the areas that also have a bit of a highlight. After that's done, I will merge it with the boat below it and also convert it to a smart object so that we could apply effects and we can undo those effects and modify them later if we need to. Here you could repeat the exact same thing for the player, but this time what I decided to do is I decided to get the lighter one on top and then erase the actual part where it's supposed to be darker. Now for the creature, I would actually create a layer on top of that and set the blending mode to something like overlay or soft light, anything like that, so that it'll be a bit more softer, or anything that's like maybe even just normal black, whatever floats the boat, and just sort of draw over top of that, and do that for the entire beast. Here I decided to brighten up the teeth a bit by drawing with like a white sort of soft brush and setting the blending mode to something like overlay or soft light to make it seem as if it's like lights the teeth more. And what I actually ended up doing is duplicating the layer and having one set to overlay and one set to soft light, and just reducing the opacity on some of them so that it's a bit less strong. Now I could finally start working on the background, and pretty much the same principles apply here. Just rasterize the layer on top and just start erasing a bit where you want it to be a bit darker. I also cut out this grass by hand and also added a highlight to it when I duplicated it, and it's just a simple inner shadow highlight, which is just inner shadow, and instead of putting a shadow you just go with white. Pretty straightforward. And now I decided to add the same thing to the player and to the beast creature. Now here you could finally just start approaching the fishing rod. So I pretty much approached the fishing rod by erasing the fishing line at first, sort of not like a rough sort of cutout, and sort of tried replicating how it'll be cut out in there, So I duplicated the back part of it onto the top, sort of overlaid it on top on a new layer, and then just drew in what's sort of how it's supposed to be on top. And then after that, I select a very sort of small round brush, like make it very small size, but not too small, so that it's like still visible there. And I sort of create a small squiggling line from the tip of the fishing rod near the mouth of the sea creature. And then afterwards, I sort of skew it a bit to make it look like the front is actually a bit bigger than the back, so to make it feel as if there's like perspective to this instead of it just looking flat. Afterwards, I just added like a shadow over top of it with a clipping mask and a gradient to make it look like there's actually a shadow coming from where the rod is being cast. Before adding the bobber, I decided to just draw some light rays in the background by using the polygonal lasso tool to sort of create rays here and there, and used layers like overlay or soft light, whichever one works best for that specific instance, to make it look as if it's light rays. And then afterwards you could blur it a bit and it'll sort of look as if there's like light coming from there. After that, to stay organized, I merged all of the layers and went on to add camera raw filters to the characters. For this, all you need to know is just convert the layers into smart objects and just don't overdo the effects. Just make it look a little bit brighter, more defined, a little bit more saturated somewhere, some places, and that's pretty much it. Don't overdo it. I mean, yeah, you could go over and do some complex stuff here and there, but just don't overdo it. Finally, we can go over and start drawing the bobber. It's a little bit more complex because it's an actual sort of 3D shape, but just if you look at the reference image, you would sort of understand, and if it looks bad, you will clearly know. And just stuff here and there. If what, I could probably put a link to my Discord in the description, which I would probably 100% do that, and you can probably download a PNG of the bobber if you really deem it necessary. So the water took a very long while, and I don't really want to bore you with the entire process of making water because it's going to be in the Discord, the water file. So if you join the Discord, you get access to this water, as well as the bobber if you need to. But anyway, I started off by using the lasso tool and making sort of a selection, smoothing it a bit so that it doesn't have all these strong edges, yet still that it's not like fully smooth. We still want it to look like it has rapid waves, whatever you want to call it. And I just fill it in with a color and set the mode to screen and sort of erase a bit closer to the bottom where the sun is already starting to show a bit less and you could actually see more of the water instead of like the reflection. Anyway, I'm not gonna bore you with the entire process, just gonna say that it was very complicated and a lot of like dots and blurring was included in the process, and you don't have to suffer through it, but yeah. And after adding all the text, which you could also get from my Discord server, and applying a shadow under the hair of my character, we could consider the project done. It was a pretty long and tough one, not gonna lie, but it eventually paid off. I decided to kind of a little bit improve the water around the mouth of the sea creature and adding a clarity effect and dehaze effect, just very slightly, we can finally call this project done. If this was helpful to you, please be sure to like and subscribe, and see ya.